What's up, everyone? Let's get straight to it. No fluff, no fake smiles. We got to talk about this rap game, this life and death struggle that's been playing out in front of our eyes for decades. And when you talk about life and death in hip hop, you ain't talking about nobody more central than Tupac Shakur. That man lived and breathed controversy, and even in death, he's still stirring up more drama than a reality TV show reunion. We just heard some real talk about how Biggie and Pac, they were rapping about death, almost like they were calling it into existence. And you know what? Maybe they were. Maybe that's the realest shit you can say about this whole damn thing. These dudes were so tapped into the streets, so connected to that raw, unfiltered energy that they saw their own damn future. They weren't just writing rhymes. They were writing prophecies. And that's a scary thought, ain't it? That the very words you spit, the very energy you put out into the universe can come back and bite you in the ass. Or worse, put you in a casket. Now, let's get into the real nitty-gritty. The stuff that keeps the streets buzzing and the conspiracy theorists working overtime. We just heard about how Tupac was in the hospital, shot up, and even then he was trying to bounce. He didn't trust the doctors, didn't trust the system. And you know what? Can you blame him? This ain't no fairy tale. This is the concrete jungle, and snakes are everywhere. The official story, they want you to believe it was just some random street beef, a drive-by gone wrong. But for almost 3 decades, people been asking, who really killed Tupac? And the answers ain't pretty. Some say it was Suge Knight, the man who was right there in the car with him. Others point fingers at Diddy, the East Coast versus West Coast beef reaching a deadly climax. And then you got the wild cards, the ones who say Tupac ain't even dead, that he faked his own death and he's chilling somewhere in Cuba, sipping mojitos and laughing at all of us. Now, I ain't saying I believe all that, but I ain't dismissing it either, because in this game, anything is possible. When you're talking about a man like Tupac, a man who had the power to move mountains with his words, a man who was a threat to the establishment, you gotta wonder, was it just a random act of violence, or was there something bigger at play? Was he silenced because he was too powerful, too influential? Think about it. This ain't just about a rapper getting shot. This is about a movement, a voice that was cut short. And the fact that almost 30 years later, we still don't have a clear answer, that tells you everything you need to know about the dirty underbelly of this industry, and maybe, just maybe, the powers that be. They want you to believe it's solved. They want you to move on. But some of us, we ain't forgetting. We ain't letting it go, because the truth sometimes is uglier than any fiction. And speaking of being a target, the transcript touched D on it, right? How Tupac knew he was a target. How Biggie knew he was a target. These ain't just rappers. These are prophets, man. They were speaking truth to power. And that always comes with a price. When you out here talking about the system, talking about the struggle, talking about the real shit that affects our communities, you become a threat. And the powers that be, they don't like threats. They like control. They like silence. And that's why they tried to silence Pac. They tried to silence Big. But guess what? Their voices still echo. Their words still resonate. Because you can kill the man, but you can't kill the message. And that's what makes this whole thing so damn potent. It's not just music. It's a movement. It's a revolution. And they tried to stop it, but they failed. They failed miserably. Because every time you hear a Tupac song, every time you hear a Biggie song, you're hearing the truth. You're hearing the pain, the struggle, the hope, the defiance. And that's something they can never erase. No matter how many bullets they fire, no matter how many conspiracies they cook up. The legacy lives on, and that's what truly scares them. The fact that even in death, these brothers are more powerful than they ever were alive. That's the real talk. That's the real power of hip hop. It's not just beats and rhymes, it's a force of nature. And you can try to contain it, you can try to control it, but eventually it's gonna break free and shake the whole damn world. Now, let's talk about this whole idea of rappers rapping about death. The transcript brought up a point, right? How Biggie said, ready to die, and how that might have been a premonition. And then you got Kobe Bryant, a legend, supposedly saying he wanted to die young. What the fuck is going on here? Is it some kind of dark magic? Is it a self-fulfilling prophecy? Or is it just that these cats, these true artists, they see the damn writing on the wall? They live in a world where death is a constant companion, where every corner could be your last. So they ain't afraid to talk about it. They ain't afraid to put it in their music because that's their reality. And for us, the listeners, it resonates.
Manifesting your damn demise? You gotta wonder how much of what happened to Pac and Big was just fate, and how much was them, in a way, calling it into their lives. It's a heavy thought, a disturbing thought, but it's one we gotta confront if we're gonna be real about this hip-hop shit. Because this ain't just entertainment. This is life and death, literally. And these artists, they're playing with fire. Sometimes they're playing with their own damn lives for our listening pleasure. Think about that next time you're bumping a track about the Grim Reaper. You might be listening to a man's last words, a man's last prophecy. And let's not forget the context, the era. The 90s, man, that was a different beast. You had artists coming up, trailblazers, with no blueprint, no examples of how to get old in this game. It was all about getting it then, because tomorrow wasn't promised. And that created a certain kind of desperation, a certain kind of recklessness. And the industry, they fed off that. They loved the drama, the beef, the train wrecks, because that's what sells. That's what gets the clicks, the views, the headlines. They pit artists against each other, East Coast versus West Coast. And then they sit back and watch the fireworks. And when the bodies start dropping, they act all surprised, like they didn't have a hand in creating this toxic environment. But we know the truth, don't we? We know that this whole thing is a machine, and sometimes it chews up and spits out the very artists that make it run. And Tupac, he was caught in the gears of that machine. He was too real, too raw, too unpredictable. And in the end, it cost him his life. But his story, his music, his legacy, that's something that can never take away. That's something that will live on forever. A testament to the power of one man's voice to shake the world. So yeah, we're going to keep talking about Tupac. We're going to keep asking the questions. We're going to keep digging for the truth, because that's what he would have wanted. He was a truth teller, a warrior, a revolutionary, and his fight is our fight, and we ain't backing down. Not now, not ever. Rest in power, Pac. Your voice still rings loud and clear.